time of year where I'm starting to look ahead and get excited for my summer sewing, knitting and crafting projects. But before I get ahead of myself, there are a few things that I want to get through first. The first is I want to give my sewing space a little bit of a spring clean. I also work in here because I work from home, and I've got my knitting in here, all of my arts and crafts supplies, as well as everything for sewing. All of my sewing supplies I'm kind of bad at putting back in their home and tidying away. So I want to give my space a little bit of a tidy and also work out some of my storage a bit better. I think that I could be using the space that I have better than I currently do, which would save a lot of overspill onto the floor. The other thing is that I'm kind of a serial project starter and I'm not so good at finishing things. So I have quite a few whips on the go or works in progress. I've got some knitting things that I literally just need to cast off and block. I've got sewing projects that are up to the final step and I just haven't completed them. If you feel my pain, please let me know that it's not just me who happens to get right near the end of finishing something and then just moves on to the next thing before I've even finished it. I also have some super quick wins, and then they'd be actually done and not taking up space either scattered around or in the boxes on the other side of this bench. So that is kind of my second focus at the moment. I also have bought a few little supplies. I've bought some yarn for my next knitting project. I've bought some more sewing threads, and so I might do a little haul as well. So first things first, I'm going to get to tidying. I'm going to start with clearing the things that I have on my cutting mat here. This ends up becoming a bit of a dumping ground, and I think if I clear this, it's going to be far easier to have this space to finish some of the other projects. You'll also see behind me, I have a couple of things that I want to get through. The first is a Faye Studios slouchy bow bag in this pink tartan. I just made one in my previous video for my sister, which I made in green linen with like a green and white gingham pocket. This one I'm making for myself, and this was actually my trial one that I was doing to try and practice so that I could make hers and kind of learn from my mistakes on this one and make hers a little bit more polished. But I ended up slightly running out of time on the final steps and I jumped on to finish hers first. So the things that I've got to do on this is sew up the lining, which I already have cut, and then just get it stitched into the bag and top stitched. So that'll be really nice to finish up. And I'd really like to start wearing it as well. I think it's a lovely colour for the spring and summer seasons. And I only have one handbag currently that I use, which is like a dark green and doesn't go with all of my outfits, but I kind of use it anyway. So I think this will be a really nice addition to my wardrobe. What I would say as well, a top tip if you want to make this bag, and one of the learnings that I found from making this one that I then changed in the one I made for my sister, is that I would put double the wadding into the strap. So my strap is a little thin and I think it's going to be a little less comfortable. So what I did on hers is just put 2 layers of batting into the strap. It was much like more padded, squishier, and I think it actually looks nicer as well. So that would be my top tip if you do want to make this bag. I'll also leave the pattern linked below because I have really thoroughly enjoyed making 2 of these, and I think I will make some more as well, because what better than having more bags in your wardrobe. The other thing is that I have a lot of the green linen left over. I had actually bought this intending to make some clothes, and I still intend to do that. So I'm going to stitch up the edge of the fabric that I've cut along so that it doesn't fray in the washing machine, and then I can get this washed so it's ready for making some summer clothes with. My sewing space is feeling much tidier now, and it's definitely looking a lot better than it did before. Before I jump into some of the things that I want to get finished, I thought I would talk through a few of the things that I've bought recently. First up, this lovely cotton yarn from Wool and the Gang. And with it, I'm going to be knitting up the toner sweater by Shy Girls Knit. I have done my little gauge swatch, which I must admit is pretty off gauge. I think it should be 10 by 10 and mine's only 7 by 7. But I've found that with the larger knitting needle, I wasn't really happy with how the fabric was turning out. It seemed pretty holey. So I have gone down half a needle size. I think this is 4.5mm knitting needles. And I'm really happy with how this is looking. So I may need to do some maths to figure out what size I should knit. And this is in the lovely colour Butter Yellow, which I feel like is having a bit of a moment. I'm not usually a yellow person, and I don't own, I don't think, any yellow items. So I think this will be a really lovely addition to my wardrobe. One thing I would say though is that I know knitting patterns do have like a lot of presumed knowledge, and I would call myself maybe a confident beginner, and I found that this gauge swatch took me so long to figure out because I understand the rib, but I've only ever knit rib once and I'm knitting it in the round. And so when it listed out the rib pattern for this jumper, I did not realise that I would have to reverse it on the back, and that it took me literally the whole weekend to figure out. And the other thing that I've picked up is some more of this lovely DMC cotton pearl thread in size 8. This is my favourite thread to hand stitch with. We've got some lovely lilac. Again, I think that goes so nicely with the yellow and also the green that I've been kind of really into at the moment. So I've got a couple of them. I got another couple of green. I got a neutral because I go through a lot of neutral thread and I was running out. And then 2 colours that I didn't have any of. One's going to look familiar. It is a slightly darker kind of buttery yellow and a navy. So I think I might put these in this lovely little pot because I've run out of room on my little shelf there. So I think I will pop these in here and give them a nice little home if they will all fit, because that looks super cute. Fab. I think the next thing I'm going to do is sew up the raw edge on this green linen so that I can get this washed and ready for making some summer clothes.
Side by side we sway there in all the colors. Summer love, lonesome dove, folded on the lawn chair in all the colors. Summer love. Stop giving back. Honeysuckle, fresh cut grass. I could really use some stuff like that. Talk to me and tell me all that you've seen, all colors. Summer love. Memories washed in every shade of green and all the colors. Summer love. Remember the lazy river day canoe, bathing in the turquoise blue, losing track of time with you. Another beach pie sunset view, sleeping in the afternoon. No place to be and nothing to prove. That's sure something I could use. A cure for the air conditioning.
It's time to get finishing some of these projects that I have on the go, and I thought that I would start with these little pattern weights. I started these last year and then put them down and didn't finish them, but I used this lovely scrap fabric which has got little dogs on and a little teal tab at the top. And these are left over from a big quilt that I made for my sister because she really loves dogs, and this was like the cutest dog pattern that I had ever found. Now, I do have some expired rice that I had saved to fill these with, but I think we're going to have to do a little bit of problem solving. Firstly, and this is like one of my actual toxic traits, I don't know about you, but I leave too small a gap when turning things out. I'm actually surprised that I've managed to turn all 5 of these out with the tiniest gap that I left, and I remember it being really difficult. I mean, on the plus side, I have less to hand stitch up at the end, but it means that I've got a really teeny tiny hole to get the rice in with. The second is that I don't have any sort of funnel. So I have just done a little, I don't know, troubleshooting, problem solving with an old takeaway menu and a bit of tape. So I'm hoping that this is gonna work well enough. I think it might be a little fiddly, but we can see how it goes together. I'm gonna get my expired rice because I saved it in my craft cupboard down here. Okay, and I have a bit more if we need it as well. And what are the odds that I end up spilling rice everywhere? I think the odds are high, especially considering this bag is like ripping. That was really fiddly and took a little while, but I've finally got all 5 pattern weights filled, and it's time for me to just stitch up the little holes so that they are done and won't kind of release any rise back out. I'm going to do just a little whip stitch so it's as invisible as possible, and then these will be done. I have finally finished sewing all of the little gaps up in the pattern weights, and they are now done. I'm really pleased with how they turned out. I don't know how effective they're going to be because they're not mega heavy. Maybe when I've got all 5 on, I will have to test them out and let you know how good they are. But even just as little decor pieces, I think they might look quite cute, maybe in the background on a shelf or something. Regardless of how well they work out, I'm super pleased to have them out of the boxes and finally finished. So that's one that I can tick off. It's very warm today. We're having unseasonably warm weather here in the UK, and it's getting super warm in this room. So I think I'm gonna take a short break and then I'll move on to the next whip. One is a scarf, which it's really not scarf weather, but that one is super close to being finished. So it would be nice to get that finally off the needles and as a finished blocked garment. So I may move on to that one next. Most definitely not scarf weather, but I've been putting off finishing this project for ages. This is the first thing that I've knit since I picked knitting back up. I used to knit when I was younger. My mum taught me how to knit when I was probably about 8, and I've recently started knitting again. And this is the first thing that I decided to try because I'd honestly never purled before. I'd only ever done the knit stitch. So I decided to pick up a really easy project, a big scarf in stockinette, so knits on one side and purls on the other. I was following a video tutorial and honestly I just need to recap the video to see how she finished off this scarf because it's also going to have little tassels at the end. So I simply need to cast off and then make the tassels, weave in my ends and block it, and this will be done. It might be in the mid 20 degrees C today, but I am really pleased to have got my scarf finished. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. There aren't too many holes and mistakes, and I actually really enjoyed doing like the fringe detail at the ends, and it was a lot easier than I expected. Dare I put it on because it's very, very warm today, but I think this is gonna be a lovely, cozy, very cozy winter scarf. I found that even my biggest hand darning needles were not quite wide enough to get the yarn through the eye of the needle. Even with a needle threader, I was just like breaking my needle threaders. So I do need to order a needle with a big enough eye for this kind of chunkier weight yarn. So I do need to weave in my ends, and I'm gonna wait to weave in my ends before I block it, because I find that then that locks your ends in like nice as it kind of evens out all the stitches. But I'm gonna call this finished for now. Okay, so next up, I'm going to try and get my little pink bag done. So I've got the lining all pinned together. I've had this pinned together for literally weeks, so I'm gonna actually enjoy getting these pins back once I've finally stitched this together. And then it will be getting it sewn into the bag and then top stitch to finish it off all nicely. Now, I'm gonna fast roll this montage because I have made one of these bags in my previous video. So if you would like to see a bag like this made in a little bit more step by step, then go over to my previous video so that it's not too boring seeing me make one all over again. It's done! The sewing gods were on my side because I had the tiniest amount of pink thread left to just get the top stitching done. So thank God I didn't make a mistake and it didn't run out, because I did not have enough to do it twice. But I am really pleased with how this has turned out. My top stitching I think is neat enough, and it certainly blends in with the quilting that I did on this one. So I actually quilted both sides of this bag and the little additional front pocket before I cut my pieces out. I think the lining fabric goes well with it too. So that is my second Faye Studios slouchy bow bag finished, and the first one for me. If you have got this far, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one where I'm going to be making a start on my summer sewing. Bye for now.